Hey guys, welcome to Good News York. I'm your host Matt Major from Growth Mode Content, joined by my festive sidekick Mike,
Festive.
and we have a guest
We do. And I'm really excited because this is
right out of the gate. I love it.
an old classmate and friend of mine, Mr. Robbie Cirillo, chef extraordinaire, business owner.
Don't break another mic arm.
I know. I ate my Wheaties this morning. Watch out.
Yesterday after the show, we just snapped the thing in three pieces.
I did.
Like I got one spare. After this, you're gonna have to hold the mic the whole time.
Coming out of my paycheck. I went to school with Robbie, and we had a lot of the same friends. And we were just talking before we started, and he's like, I remember two things about you in high school, and whatever he mentioned wasn't that bad.
Oh,
But I was telling him, I was like, dude, I was an unmedicated kid with ADHD and childhood trauma, and luckily I put it into making people laugh. But Robbie, amazing guy, I call a friend. I've been on social media lately, and I keep seeing this restaurant pop up, Stone Soup, American, let me make sure I'm saying it, American Bistro.
Yes.
And I start seeing Herkimer, which, for those of you that don't know, that's where I'm originally from, Herkimer, New York, Mohawk Valley, shout out. And I thought, well, first of all, I love Robbie. I want to promote his restaurant. Second of all, it's in Herkimer where I'm from. This is a no-brainer. So here you are on Good News York. So tell us a little, before we get into Stone Soup, you know, we leave high school. A lot's happened, obviously, since then. You've been kind of in Rhode Island and different places. How did you get started in this career?
Oh, so the funny thing is, the first job I had was at McDonald's in Herkimer.
Nice. That's great.
Yep.
I worked there too.
Yes, you did.
You know, the best, all I did was drop chicken nuggets.
Hold on. The old McDonald's or the new one by Walmart?
Old McDonald's.
Yeah.
The original
Hoop
McDonald's.
ball pit.
Dude, we used to play dice out front of the
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Who was the woman with the golden shoes?
Oh, God.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do, but I
She
can't
worked
tell.
mornings
Can't pull that
and
shit.
like
I'd walk in with my buddy Jansen, and she would always say, "Oh, stay right there," and she'd go give my buddy Mike and I
my
these
God,
little
that's
vanilla
Great
cones.
call. I don't remember her name, though, but she's
Yeah.
absolute legend.
But I knew you'd remember
Absolute
golden
legend.
shoes.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
the funny thing is, so I went over to, next job was at Ponderosa, and I really liked that I was doing that.
We
Right?
just talked
We were
about.
just
I was
talking
a
about
dishwasher extraordinaire. Instead of two people on the dish machine, it was myself just running around like a maniac.
Yeah.
I was fantastic at that. But then, you know, I always grew up in grew up in an Italian family. My grandmother, she made really good Italian food. Actually, the first Sunday in America, my brother and I we were adopted from Korea. The first Sunday in America, we were making pasta with my grandmother then. And his foods has always been in there. The restaurant business, it kind of grew onto me. I really like the feeling that you get when you're in the middle of a rush and you're cooking food and you're slinging pans around. It's just one of those natural highs that you really don't get anywhere else. And I just truly fell in love with cooking food. I've always been intrigued by it. So I've been in Rhode Island for since 2001. I moved down there with my best friend Dominic, and he went to school for culinary, and I just went to the school of hard knocks for culinary.
I love it.
And we were both able to share our experiences, and we were able to teach each other. And Dom's he's just one of the smart guys that they tell you what to do and he can do it. I'm one of those guys that show me how to do it, then I can physically.
Sure.
So I just been in the restaurant business down there for a long time. Opened a bunch of restaurants, like 25 some odd states.
Wow.
Just got to
Really?
Yeah, it was like my 20s, man. I lived a real good life. It was fun.
Yeah.
I just got to travel. I had a restaurant in Rhode Island. It was Capitol Grill. I had to go there. That'd be like the home base, and then they fly out to like Orlando or Jacksonville.
Wow.
And we opened another restaurant. I'd be up there for like 3 weeks and land and live the life for a while. It was a fun time.
Wow.
And then I was watching a bunch of kids that went to culinary school, and I realized I was doing as well or better than them. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep on working my way through. And it became a true passion of mine. And then, 15 years ago, I started trying to work smarter, not harder.
Sure.
So I'd help, people open restaurants, and then I consult for them how to be more profitable, make more money, things
Sure.
like that. And I've just been doing that for a while. And then faith and fate, my family, my brother, my parents got in a bad car accident in October. So I was going back and forth from Rhode Island to New York, back and forth. And that was like running 3 different restaurants
Oh wow.
at one time as it was there. And then, but about 2 years ago, the Village of Herkimer asked me to be on the board to try to get the DRI grant, and that's trying to develop and revitalize downtown Herkimer. And every time I come home from Rhode Island, the first thing I do is drive down Main Street.
Yeah.
And I saw how it fell back and how, it's kind of deplorable state.
It's tough.
But
it is.
But the thing for me though was I saw the possibilities of what could be, because of all the different places that I've opened restaurants, there's always a Main Street. And I swear, if you lifted up Main Street from Herkimer and implanted it somewhere else, it would be one of those thriving places.
100%.
So there was a small group of people, like-minded people in Herkimer that have the same passion, that want to make Herkimer better. And so we worked with the Village of Herkimer, worked with the mayor, and a lot of volunteer work. And, like I was asked to speak in front of the state, the committee board, to pretty much put Herkimer on the table.
Yeah.
And, and they wanted me because, it's like from Herkimer, left Herkimer.
Yep.
But had a vision that I could see Herkimer be better.
Yeah.
And that has now become my secondary passion now, is I really truly want to make Herkimer. It's like I grew up right around the corner.
I love
Literally. No, I know where you live.
I grew up on Washington.
Across from LW Bills.
Yeah, and I'm literally right around the corner. And man, that was like, I think our generation was the last time that actually got to enjoy Main Street as what it was. And the music shop, we'll buy CDs.
Yeah, man.
And then Micey had his clothing store.
Yeah, Brian's Roast Beef Deli, the coffee bar.
And then Kings Court Mall.
Kings Court.
Dude, it was a great time.
Bonnie's.
Bonnie's. Wait, what was there was a pet store.
Craft store. I don't remember the name of the pet store.
Uncle Licky owned a pet store down in the basement. So listen, the great thing is though, so Joe Cirillo, he bought that building, and it's the Munger's building. Now it's called Restored and Renewed, and he's from Long Island.
Wow.
And he and I met because we'd have meetings for the grant down in the basement of his building. And that man has done so much for that building and what he's trying to do for Main Street of Herkimer, and he's not even from here. So it was really contagious, like especially when I met him. I'm like, Joe's, he's probably early 60s.
Wow.
But he's not even from Herkimer, but he saw the opportunities, the same thing that I see, and he's actually doing something. Instead of being those naysayers that are from Herkimer that complain about nothing's happening, no one's trying to fix anything. But then when people try to do it, they'll be the first one saying, "Oh, good luck with you."
Yeah, you're gonna fail.
Yeah, blah blah blah. But it's like that. The Monday, what do they call it?
Monday morning armchair
quarterback, whatever. Right.
Nothing worse than these people that have never left and have no concept.
Well,
some possibilities.
Some people haven't left before, but I don't judge them on that.
Right.
It's the opportunities that I was given and seen because I've been out.
Sure.
And that's why I want to come back and do something again back in Herkimer. And the only way I know how to make my community better is in the restaurant business.
Right.
And if you were a new entrepreneur, right, and you're scouting places, maybe you want to open a restaurant. Let's be honest, you wouldn't go, I'm going to check out Main Street in Herkimer. I think the reason why you're going to succeed, and I think the reason why you probably were inspired, is because we saw as kids the potential it had, because it was awesome. The Main Street
really was.
I mean, look, there was definitely certain buildings that weren't as good, as nice as the other ones, but like we said, there were so many businesses. There were people walking around. There was cars going by. It was alive.
It was,
and I just think it's incredibly, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's just,
I had an apartment on Main Street when I was younger.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I just think it's really commendable that you want to go back and really and be like kind of the anchor to get it started. And I think if anyone can do it, it's you, man. I think being from there, him and I are from the Mohawk Valley. We talk about it all the time on this show. Yeah, we know it's in rough shape, but we are rooting so hard for it. So thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
If you could, I've been trying to picture exactly where on Main Street you are. Where is your spot?
So Main Street. So remember Kings Court Mall?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm literally you're facing the Munger's building. I'm on the left-hand side, 140.
Okay, you're right on that block.
Right on that block.
Gotcha.
Same exact block.
I was thinking you were farther down by.
No.
Is it that where there was a parking lot between a bank and stores?
Correct. So the bank, and then the
Okay.
parking lot, and then Micey used to have his clothing shop.
Yeah.
Right next door to it.
And is that where your beer garden? The beer garden.
So the beer garden is kind of cool, man. So when when I first looked at this property, I living right around the corner, never visualized, put together that this courtyard that is the back of the village hall and the police station
Yep.
and the fire department and the Mungers, it was right there, right behind this restaurant space. And when I talked to Joe Cirillo that owns the property, he's like, "Oh, you got to see out back." And I'm like, "Out back?" So I go back there. I'm like, and my mind is like, "Holy
Yeah.
crap." I'm like,
Right.
"This is
You're seeing it.
man." And we've had a couple events there now for a couple family friends, and the best compliment I got about the beer garden is like, "I don't feel like I'm in Herkimer anymore."
That is a good compliment.
And it's like it's just a different feel. I brought in 2 storage like shipping crate containers, 2 20-foot ones, and we had to clean them all up. And my friend Luke Michael and we cut down the doors, the panels,
Wow.
put up new doors, repainted it. I ended up getting AstroTurf from a high school football field downstate.
Wow.
Nice.
The company takes it out and they
Yep.
put new ones down, and then they want to
Left
recycle,
them,
so they
yeah.
use
The pictures look great.
Man, it's gonna be a fun time, man. And it's just, people say it's great for Herkimer, which it is, but I think it's great for the valley.
Yeah.
It's great for all of Herkimer County, because I mean, there's maybe three
People
restaurants that
aching
have
for
an
things
opportunity
to-
to have things
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's so close together. When we were kids, it was the joke like, "I'm from Mohawk, I'm from Herkimer." If you look at it now, it's like we're all in the same damn
Yeah.
spot. So it's not going to be out of the ordinary for people from Frankfurt to want to go.
Well,
especially if there's a beer garden.
and I'm glad you said that too, because like, so that the story stone soup. My kids love that. Love the story. And the original one was about 2 soldiers that get lost in the woods and they stumble across a village, and it was the middle of the winter, and all they wanted was something hot to eat and a warm place to stay. And the village innkeeper shut the door on them. The restaurant closed the door on them, so they had no food. And it wasn't only because of a little kid that said that wanted to help them. So that's where, like, all we need is a pot to cook some soup in. We have some stones. We're going to make stone soup.
Yes.
So the kid's mother happened to be the farmer. She's like, "Well, I have some vegetables to put into the soup." And then the butcher, like, "Well, I have some meat." And then the dairy farmers are, "Well, I have some cream." So it meant a lot to me, because it's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a kid.
Sure.
That's right.
But it took a kid to actually raise the village together.
I love it.
And it's for like all the Tri-Valley areas. I've gotten so much help from the community, not just from Herkimer, that they really like the story of why I'm doing this restaurant, why the name of the restaurant is. And it's just, everyone came together to help me make this restaurant. And that's what I want to do, is make something that's going to enrich the community.
That's
And that's where that stone soup really came from.
That's
My
incredible.
daughter, this was 2.5 years ago, reading the book. She's like, "Daddy, that's a great name for a restaurant."
oh
And the funny thing is, after I signed the contract for the restaurant space, on the Facebook feed, the 2-year hot thing, whatever, it was a picture of me reading.
no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy, right? And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is meant to be."
Yeah.
That's one of those things. It's just,
That is, I do remember that story actually,
Yeah.
and I love that the whole story. It seems like
Yeah.
there's a lot of just fate happening for you.
there is, man. I am a man of faith and fate. I really am. Things happen for a reason. It has in my whole life.
Yeah.
I try to let things happen organically as much as possible, but sometimes you got to press that gas pedal down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I've been trying to do something in Herkimer for the last 2 years. We had another property I was looking at up the street more, and it just didn't work out. And
Yeah.
it's just take it on the chin.
Yep.
Get back to the grind again.
Sure.
And then but it happened.
That's great.
That's awesome. Rob, I'm gonna regret this because it's gonna make me hungry, but I
I'm already.
want to learn a little bit more about the restaurant. What type of menu
Yeah,
you got at this
absolutely.
place?
Next question.
Yeah, so lunchtime, I'm gonna be doing lunch and dinner. The lunch menu is gonna be classic American fare.
Nice.
So you're looking at smash burgers, but sometimes I like a greasy smash burger, but then I like a juicy grilled burger.
Sure. Yep.
So we have both options for you.
Cool.
Some elevated sandwiches,
Mhm.
and then grinders, but we call them subs up here.
Yeah.
Large salads and appetizers for lunch, and then dinner. My brother is really passionate about barbecue. He's been doing it for a while.
Wow.
I had a restaurant in Memphis, Tennessee, and I learned a lot about barbecue out there also.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing barbecue during the dinner time. And then when it comes to like the dinner entrees, obviously, because of the experiences I've been able to have in the culinary world, I've noticed, America as a country, we've brought so many different cultures in.
Sure.
And then, so like when different, like my grandparents came from Italy, one of the two things that made them feel connected from where they're from is food and music.
Sure.
And those are two of the most important things to me when it comes to a restaurant, is having great food, and you got to have great ambiance. So when I noticed that, back in the 80s and 90s, chefs used to smash it together. Sorry.
No, you can swear.
Good.
Ah, sweet.
Shit. Poop. Shit.
Poop.
Yeah,
But anyway,
poopy.
so, they were trying to find correlating flavors and ingredients from different cultures and try to put those together. And they kind of went a little crazy on that, and they called it fusion.
Okay.
I like looking at history of food and where it came from and finding those correlating ingredients and trying to make sure those flavors do have some sort of history together
Yeah.
to put those together. But I really like I have a Korean bibimbap dish that's going to be highlighted, then I have a Vietnamese drunken noodle dish.
Yes.
Wow.
I have a Calabrian pasta dish. So I want to celebrate, and I want to celebrate different cultures and dishes from different cultures.
Yeah.
And keep those rotating. For me, it's a good way for me to do like a test market. It's like my food in Rhode Island did well, but it's going to do different. It's going to do as well in a different community.
Yeah.
So for me to be able to keep on rotating my specials, have 5 or 6 set menu items that I think professionally they'll do well, but then to keep on rotating specials from different cultures.
That's brilliant.
And find out what works in this community, what works in the Utica area. Try to bring. I don't want to make just so people from like Herkimer and Little Falls. They go to Syracuse and Albany. I go to Syracuse and Albany.
Sure.
Why not have them come down to Herkimer?
That's right.
Why not? That's what people like. Why people ask me, why are you doing a restaurant?
There's only so many bowls of Riggies one can eat.
Man, and you know what? And
I mean, look,
PK
And I might set that
Ryan
limit
has-
personally.
If
but-
Ryan has the
but-
PK's,
yeah.
PK's Pub, they make a great greens and great
Yes.
Riggies. Guess
Oh.
what? That's not going to be on my menu.
Right.
right.
There's other restaurants in the Valley that have it.
Sure.
I don't want to do that. Go support them.
Yeah.
So I'm all about being. I think when I was in Memphis, the best thing I learned.
I'm saying it's
down
great
there-
that you have a place that you can get something slightly different.
Yeah, and it's like
As much as I love
absolutely.
those dishes.
So when I lived in Memphis, I learned about history and hospitality when I lived down in Memphis.
Wow.
I expected blues and I expected barbecue,
Uh-huh.
but the history and the hospitality was bar none.
Mm.
But the restaurant community was so strong.
Yeah.
Because if you think about this, so any larger city, there's restaurants everywhere, and
Yep.
there's more people just foot traffic.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's the same vision I see happening in any town, any village, is if you have more than one option, all it's going to do is drive more people to come
right.
to that area.
100%.
We just
know?
talked about this. It might have been yesterday about I live in Ithaca, and I don't know if you've been to Ithaca, but the one thing Ithaca is known for is its dining. I mean, we have more restaurants per capita than New York, and we have everything from Vietnamese, Ethiopian, Italian, Japanese, Greek, you name it, and it's all amazing. And it's everything you're talking about: foot traffic, people, from all over.
It brings life back.
It brings life
That's
back.
what it really does.
But we were talking about how, you think when people get this impression that when other restaurants pop up, oh no, this is competition. It's like, no, this is good.
Well, no, Mike, I think it is competition. Competition breeds success.
Yeah.
It
Well,
really does.
yes. Yeah.
It really does.
But it's also a network, and and you're all creating something together. And
Absolutely.
I think isn't it business 101? It's like if there's 4 steakhouses within 5 miles, don't open another steakhouse. Like I think it's great that you're you know what I mean? That you're not
Right.
doing greens and you're not doing Riggies, and I think that's what's going to set you apart. And I just hope, have you thought about ways that you could get other businesses to come to Herkimer, or
That's a great
whether
question, Mike.
restaurant or
It's
not?
a great segue. So actually yesterday, the Village of Herkimer in Herkimer County, there's another grant that they've been working on. It's called the BOA grant. And it's a Brownsfield project. So what they do is they bring a group of investors together, development
Yep.
investors.
Yeah,
together. And they had a great turnout at the Herkimer College yesterday. They had about 250 people there,
Wow.
and just investors.
Yeah.
And then they had a meeting over at the Mungers building actually after that meeting, and they did a walking tour of Main Street. And so what the BOA grant is, they put on a lot of the buildings that have nothing in it. It was a simple thing. They put a big window sticker
Yeah.
With opportunities. They had like shadow characters of dining and standing at a bar.
Gotcha.
So they
Cool.
did that on Main Street, and they had we had about 65 people yesterday
Kind of
walk up and down
stage
Main
what there
Street.
could be.
Correct. And they went all the way up to the old jail, walked back down towards the across Main Street down the courthouse, and then they stopped at Stone Soup, and they all came into the restaurant and they wanted to use my restaurant. Like, listen, here's a kid from Herkimer that left and came back to Herkimer.
Great example.
Here's a great example of investment opportunity, and one of the best things is it's like kind of like a backhanded compliment is, I didn't expect it to look like this. It really,
Right.
And it started off with the facade of the restaurant. It's like, I mean, the restaurant was 65% turnkey, but I really want, I want to set a precedent on.
Yeah.
So that's why I put a lot of time and invested a lot of capital into that facade of the restaurant.
And it looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
The brick,
the brick and the wood, and I just wanted to make it stands out.
Sure.
And I
Legitimate,
hope
classy joint.
right. And I really hope that exponentially, business owners that are on there now, and then future investors on Main Street see, hey, this is a standard here. Let's try to follow suit at least.
Yeah.
So then getting back to the BOA grant yesterday, we had people not even from Herkimer, which was fantastic. And they were in the restaurant. They were able to go out back, and the storm held off long enough for us to be able to enjoy it outside in the beer garden. My brother made some barbecue for him and things like that, and it was a good time. And I had a lot of people from the county think, "Hey, Robbie, thank you for letting us use your restaurant," because it was one of those buzzworthy things where, like, actually they saw, like, Matt Collis was part of the group.
Matt, my buddy.
And I mean, they're celebrating 50 years on Main
Collis
Street.
Hardware
Collis-
still there.
50 years, dude. Like, I still walk in the back door from Collis's
Yeah.
because my father did the same thing.
Yeah.
So I still walk in the back door. Matt's there all the time, and Matt was, he's the Collis family. The Collis Hardware is another prime example of, hey, 50 years on Main Street in Herkimer. They're still doing great.
Dude.
The funny thing is, we were walking past Collis Hardware, and the guy walks out, just bought a lawnmower. I go, Mel, because, everyone's going to buy a lawnmower. We've been doing just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But it's like Pete's Pub, Brock Morris doing a real great job over at End Zone Pub,
End Zone, yep.
Asteroga's right around the corner. There's going to be a smoothie shop where Dom's Deli used to be right
All
around
right.
the corner.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking
And it's really, it's one of those times where when I've seen restaurants pop up in communities, it's almost like sometimes you're too late to the party kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do this, and it popped up finally. I'm like, here's the chance to do it. So I want to be on that ground, floor, and take the shit running.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
Very exciting.
right now you are the bar. And I think congratulations, dude. You're the bar of what Main Street could be, And as someone, again, who's from the Mohawk Valley, and Matt is too, and especially from someone who's from Herkimer, I think that's why this means so much to people, what you're doing, because we all know what it was and what it could be.
Absolutely.
And it takes someone that has seen that to be able to try to not even replicate it, but to bring life back. And, here's the other thing that people forget about. Yeah, okay, Herkimer, New York, anyone outside of this area will be, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's really not. It's right off of the thruway. And it's one of the very few...
Literally in the middle.
Yeah.
Between Albany and Syracuse.
Right in the middle between Albany and Syracuse. If you ever need gas, because I lived across the gas station right off the exit, you know how many tour buses I saw stop there? It's one of those few exits where you're not driving 3 miles once you get off to go get gas or food. It's right there. So it can draw people from all over the place, and State Street's busy. So it's got potential, man.
It really does have potential, and it's like Jimmer Adams, he's a Herkimer
Carpet
kid
store,
too.
still there?
Johnson's Carpet, so he took that over. He could have gone anywhere else, but he's from Herkimer, and he had an opportunity to take that building over, the business over. He worked there, for like 15 years, and Johnson's Carpet, that's been there forever. So it's a great thing. There's a core group of people, and it's awesome now that they're from Herkimer too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we have the same vision. They want to do it. It's like, and it's to the point where it's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Now's
things.
the
You
time.
could talk about doing something,
Yeah.
but you got to get a plan and then put it into action.
And you're
it's
better together.
The most
100%.
important thing.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this yesterday. Like, that's just do it is the key that so many people miss out on.
Just
Man,
do
and it takes a lot though. some people are scared to do something because they've never done it
100%.
before, right? And then there's people that, like me before, it's like, Robbie, do you really want to leave Rhode Island
Sure.
Yeah.
to do this here?
Yeah.
And it was maybe a 5-minute conversation with myself. But
Sure.
there's, it's sometimes, man, it's just, you got to take that leap of faith kind of thing. And you just got to do it.
You know what's interesting, and you mentioned, and a lot of people, unfortunately, locally don't get this. I didn't get this when I was a local person growing up in the Valley and working in a local computer store and just seeing how people are interacting and their thoughts on money and all these different things. They see the state of the place and it's in decline and it looks like hell, and their thought is, this is worthless.
It's the opposite.
The reality is, if you're a businessman, if you're an investor of any sort, you see a place where the real estate is dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
There's ample workforce.
Yep.
And it's right in the middle of the state where this massive, massive expansion is happening on both ends.
That's
Correct.
right.
So there's no choice. And it might take a little longer than in Syracuse or in Albany, but soon all these people who can't afford a house in Syracuse and Albany,
Yeah,
because we run out of them,
Dude, absolutely.
this is where they're going to land.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the smart folks know, like you, is get in, grab that dirt cheap real estate today.
It's opportunity.
Make it something incredible. You'll have the audience for it before you know it.
And you're so right. And by the way, thank God for the Matt Collises and the Jimmer Adams that just grin and bear it and stayed there, because
Yeah.
it made it easier for you to come back and not be the lone soldier on the block,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And now I think with you guys all together, and what's crazy? The name of your restaurant, as you said before, Stone Soup American Bistro and Beer Garden. The story of how it takes a village, and that's literally what is happening. The village is coming together to
Absolutely.
raise up the community,
Yeah,
man.
man.
And
That makes
I'm
me feel-
sorry,
that's-
did
It makes you feel good, right? Yeah, I want to run through a wall.
did you mention Pete's is still there?
Still there, man. Yeah,
Pete's.
Crazy Autos is still there. There's a lot of stuff that is still doing well.
Pete's was my favorite.
Dude,
They
Cheap
closed.
beer
They had to
bar.
close down for about a month because the building next to it started crumbling
Fell
the back
apart.
of it.
yeah.
But they opened that. They opened up back up a couple weeks ago.
Back in
I
the
could tell you
day,
some stories from the couple days.
when it was, Glory Days, Brownies, Albany Street, Pete's.
Dude, it was awesome.
But if you had told me, 15, 20 years ago, like, dude, Pete's is gonna outlast all these, I'd go, you're crazy.
Yep.
And they have, man.
Yep.
And they have. And I wish nothing but the best for you, for everybody. This is so exciting, man. We are rooting for you, and you've got to come back on anytime. Before we go though, what do you? I'm not gonna. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But what's your vision in the near future, or maybe the distant future for maybe Stone Soup, but also for Main Street and Herkimer?
So I it's like a businessman I am. That there's that 1, 3, and 5 year plan. My immediate hope is the building next to us, to buy that out, knock the wall down between that and the restaurant space now to grow that out. And then upstairs, there's a second floor. We'd like to turn that into private dining, and then put another kitchen upstairs, because
Wow.
on the second floor of Munger's, we'll have the largest banquet facility in the county. So
Really?
that's And then Joe Cirillo, he has another retail space that is at the very end of Munger's. There's a parking lot between Woolworths and this little spot.
Oh my God,
Okay.
Woolworths.
Okay, and my favorite dessert is affogato. I like gelato and espresso. So I really would like to put like an Italian, call it
I don't think I've
call
ever
it affogato.
Had that before. That
Fresh
sounds
gelato, sorbets, and espresso shop there. This is restaurant number 1. I'm a restaurateur. I'll always be a chef, no matter what. But my age now that we're getting at, I want to be a restaurateur, and that's for me to build something for my children, and still help the community at the same time.
Yeah.
The only way I do that is the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And so we'll be growing within our 4 walls. Hopefully, be able to knock down another wall. But we have a lot of things planned up for this year. As soon as the weather gets better for us.
Yeah.
Our grand opening is going to be when my kids are out of school. I definitely want them
Nice.
to cut the ribbon down.
Uh,
We'll have live music stuff back there. Maybe someone I know to the right of me might be able to play some music for us.
And I may have done that before.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
But
Wait, you play
it's
music?
A little bit.
yeah. So
Talk about
there's a lot of things. My brother and I were really excited for the opportunities that we want to do. We really want to the opportunities are there. It's just we want to do it.
You are.
Yeah, we're getting there, Mike.
Dude, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you, man. Like, you're a friend of mine from high school. That's a bond you always have, right? And now you're a friend of the show, so you got to come back on and talk more about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Robbie Cirillo, Stone Soup. Make sure I say it right. American Bistro and Beer Garden.
Yes, sir.
On
You got
Main
it, Mike.
Street in
Got it.
Herkimer. What are the other plugs? What do you want to plug?
You know what?
Addresses, social media. What do you got?
Yeah, so you can find us on Facebook and Stone Soup on Facebook, and then if you guys want, I'm looking for another full-time line cook and just maybe 1 or 2 more servers.
Mike's
Okay.
not really good at cooking.
You can email me at Robert
I'm
Nam
really good at this either, so I might need.
at eat@stonesoup.com. And then I don't want to plug away the restaurant itself
Why?
too much, but I just want to I want to thank the community. That I've had so much help from the community. And Herkimer, we will make it.
We will.
Rob,
will.
I'm sorry. Did you have a date for the grand opening, or is that still?
So we're gonna be
a little
doing
in the air?
we'll be doing a soft opening in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll be doing just lunch, and then we'll do the following week. We'll do soft opening of just dinner, and then the following week after that we'll be doing the full lunch and dinner kind of thing. Grand opening, it's like playing darts, right? You have a
Sure.
you have a bullseye,
Yeah.
and then you throw it. You can hit it a little to the right. You can hit it a little to the bottom. So I just want to make sure that I have all the ducks in a row,
Yep.
I's and T's, and I don't want to do this wrong. I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And you will, and you are, man. And you strike me as a guy that we're gonna see if we come to the restaurant. You're getting your hands dirty in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
I had a feeling you were always that way, man.
I am, and it's like I'll be popping back and forth, but fortunately I have my brother that he's gonna be my right hand man in the kitchen.
We'll have to come down and shoot an episode there.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
Maybe we'll do it for the grand opening.
check out.
do
the
it down at
restaurant.
do it right in the beer garden.
You'll have us,
Perfect.
man.
Oh,
I'd also love
to honored, dude.
I'd love to connect with the other folks and maybe we'll do like a little video tour of the Mungers building and things like
Absolutely.
that. That's
Ooh, we
Abs-
could do
the
like
coolest
a
place. I'd
we
love
can
to
do like
see.
a downtown Herkimer opportunity special. Like,
Right.
look, guys, look at it. Because I'm glad you said something about line cooks, because the brilliancy of Matt. He said part of the show is he wants to connect employees and employers, people looking for jobs,
Yeah.
employers looking for employees. I mean, in my world, or in any world, I just feel like the most loving thing you can do is give somebody a job or an opportunity.
I know
You
some
know,
talented cooks in the valley too.
Dude.
We gotta share this clip. 'Cause
Yeah,
people
well,
might
we're
be-
gonna we'll do as
Gotcha.
much as we can for you, but we're rooting for you, pal.
Yeah, and anytime
Appreciate
you
it.
want to come back, you got something. Whether it's your restaurant, whether it's
Anytime.
good news about Herkimer.
Absolutely.
we want to hear it.
And I love the fact that good New York. I love it. Then I had one on Facebook, and it's just good news happening in New York.
100%.
And it's just I'm like, this is perfect.
Buddy,
Yeah.
it's
a perfect thing.
That's
Yeah.
why I sought you out. Again, you're a friend from high school, and you're doing something great, and that's what this show's about. When Matt started this, I mean, is there just like you said, you go to downtown Main Street, right, and you go, oh God, look how bad it is. No, it's an opportunity. You read social media, you read the news. It's all negative. It's
Yeah.
all doom and gloom. There's an opportunity for good news, and that's when we're here. And it's not roses and sunshine.
Well, and
we can
you've
say
got
shit. We can say fuck. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we want to highlight this stuff because it's important, and that's what matters, man.
It is, and you've got it even a little tougher in your area. But here we are in Syracuse. We got this Micron thing happening. It's the biggest thing in the history of ever.
Yeah.
As big as the Erie Canal.
And if you go online, you still got a steady contingent of it'll never happen, and
Wow.
these people I'm convinced are going to stand in the factory and
You know
go,
what?
it's never going to
Prove
happen.
them wrong.
Right.
That's what people always want to see. You can't do this. You can't do that. It drives me even more.
Yeah,
like
same.
hard. I think.
Same.
Now I really want to get
Same.
it done.
and that's,
So-
that's why we love highlighting it,
Yeah.
and we're talking to businesses, we're talking to comedians and entertainers, and just trying to share the awesome things about the entire New York City.
Dude, and if we can connect
Glad to have you.
people together too, obviously having you on the show is great, and we're promoting your restaurant. If you end up getting a cook from this, or maybe someone sees this and they come to your restaurant, like even if it's one person, then we did our job. you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so happy. I mean,
Yeah.
it means more to me than most people because it's where I'm from.
Yeah,
And so I can't say it enough. I'm rooting for you. I'm proud of you. And
it's great to hear a story about it being built up
yeah, it really is.
rather than something bad.
So
you know.
go to Main Street in Herkimer or else. Yeah, Robbie Cirillo, Stone Soup, American Bistro and Beer Garden.
I'll leave you with a funny story.
Let's do it.
Main Street in Herkimer is where I first encountered you.
Oh fuck! What was I doing?
You were singing in a band
cigarettes?
on the stage at Brownies, and I was standing there going, "Who's this asshole with all these girls around him? Like, what? He must think he's something special." You did always have quite an entourage,
Was that
Colony,
Doug?
if I remember correctly.
Doug was my first band. Actually, Technical Willie was my first band. But Doug,
Honestly, we've gone back and forth
Showtime.
when we were younger, sharing memories of hanging out at the coffee bar, and and then, like I said, later Brownies and Glory Days, which that building doesn't even exist anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I always loved this guy. We would only cross paths every now and then. He was from Millie and I was from Herkimer.
We had a lot of mutual friends, but not.
But
really,
you remember when you would walk in the coffee bar and you'd smell clove cigarettes?
Yep.
You'd think, what asshole is
Jarums.
Yeah, you go, what asshole smoking it? It was
was
this
you.
fucking guy.
It wasn't exclusively me. Like we had a whole.
No,
that's
you're
where
the
I
most-
got the idea.
You
know?
admitted it, and I was
That
like,
was the thing to do.
finally.
I still love those things.
I hated those.
They banned them. They banned flavored
Good.
cigarettes,
Right.
so they got rid of them. Now you can get them, but they're slightly different, and they call them cigars.
Oh.
Very slightly different. Still taste.
You
pretty
can
much
polish
the
a
same.
turd. It's. I mean, you can't. I
Dude,
know
they
what
were
it is.
yummy.
They
I don't
were
know.
terrible.
I don't
They
like
would snap.
cigarettes. Even.
They would snap when you inhaled. It was like crack, snap, crackle, pop. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, enough about cigarettes. What are we doing? Robbie Cirillo again. Stone Soup, American Bistro and Beer Garden on Main Street in Herkimer. Is it 118 Main?
148 North Main.
I botched that one. Don't go to 118.
Only a couple blocks up.
Yeah, you'll find it.
We can edit that.
Yeah, exactly. 148 Main Street, buddy. I love you.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks for coming on the
Thanks
show.
for having me.
All right, we'll be back after this, whatever this is.
Well, we don't have breaks, but we'll
Yeah,
we got to get some.
we'll get some breaks.